Welcome everybody to the community meeting. Today is January 17th. And I'll share my screen here. Let's get right into it. You should see the meeting notes now. Please add yourself to the attendees list. Most people did that already. Nice. If you have anything to add to the agenda, please do that here or here. If it's about documentation, or if it's about any refinement or issues, you can do it below this stuff here. So let's get into it. GC elections are still going on. We had a tie and we are having a tiebreaker election right now. I pasted all the links here, so you can follow the link to Helios here to cast your vote. Voting closes January 24th, so you still have some time. And any info you need for it is under this GitHub issue here. And most people, yeah, all the people should have been linked here. So yeah, and congrats, Mauricio is actually here. Thomas is not. So we have two elected members already. Awesome. Yeah, so please feel free to vote so that we can get the election to be done in the end. Anything to add here from anybody? Okay. Then next topic is kind of a tricky one. We have this epic going on, the Keptn context propagation epic. Let's open this quickly, which is open for some time now. As you can see, like we started this in May. And we kind of want to have this done for KubeCon in Paris. And for that, we're kind of under time pressure right now to get it done in time. So the core maintainers team decided to kind of work on this just the maintainers and not assign those issues to contributors anymore, so that we can get this going faster and get it done in time. Because we want to have a demo ready for the Keptn booth at KubeCon to show this off exactly, and also a blog post out and stuff like that. So sorry, everybody. We will not assign any of those tickets to contributors anymore. But of course, we have plenty of other tickets open that you can check out.
Can I ask a little bit of context for that epic? Like, what's the objective there? Like, trace propagation across
stages, basically, or across deployments. So ideally, this would be like the final building block to get kind of full GitOps integration, basically. So you can pass on the trace ID from, let's say, you have a three-stage approach. You have development, staging, and production, and you can pass along the trace ID from one stage to the next and from one deployment to the next one. And then you have like the full traceability from start to finish of your feature that you want to deploy.
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense.
That's the plan here. Yeah, so implementation actually started together with contributors, but we kind of need to like kick it up a notch basically and be a bit faster. Any other questions to that? Okay, then moving on. There's a talk by Flo. Flo, do you want to say a few words about that?
Yes, indeed. So next week there's going to be the user group meeting, and where here I will give a broad overview, introduction to Keptn, what it can do based on an example. And here I will aim to basically show what the capabilities are, how you can integrate with other tools such as Argo, and how to make use of the tracing aspects of Keptn. So it's going to be fun.
Awesome. Cool stuff. So that's right when the election also ends. Cool. And I'm seeing Rachid adding something here.
And there is a registration link for the event?
Oh, yeah.
Or
So this is
Yeah,
just a Zoom
so
link, actually.
yeah, there's a Zoom we'll be doing it sort of webinar style. So we just set up our own Zoom for it. But yeah, if you want to check out, there's also the link for the above that is for the community chapter link as well, which has all the details in there.
That's for me. Yeah, okay.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Moving on. Rachid, do you want to take over?
Yeah. Actually, we are almost done with the issue, the PR to have multiple metrics in the Keptn metric status. Florian wrote some comments. I'll have a look into it later. But with this feature, user will be able to see the multiple metrics using kubectl describe command. So I wanted to ask that, do we want to have any kind of field to in the kubectl get Keptn metric for multiple metrics? Like right now, only describe is showing the multiple metrics, not get.
how busy will it become? How we expect it to look like?
It would be tidy because the maximum metrics that we can show is 255, and I don't know how we can show that much in a get command. So we can either just go with describe, leave it in the get command.
Any other input? I don't really have a strong opinion, honestly.
Yeah, I'm afraid that will be too cluttered if we print more than one single aggregation value. It's better to use the describe command if you want to see the full list of points.
Also, I'm not sure if it's actually possible with because with the kubectl get, you can only refer to dedicated properties. So as far as I know, there's no capability of iterating through an array within the status of a resource and print that as a separate column. So I think using kubectl describe will be the way to go here.
Yeah, got it. We can leave it for get command then. Thanks.
You're welcome. So that's right. I think this is good, right? Okay, anything else regarding community stuff? Otherwise, we'll move on to documentation. Okay.
Hi there. I'm typing something
Fox, I
in. There we go.
suppose.
I just have
Right.
one issue. Oh, hello? Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Just one issue, and then we've got a bunch of stuff in refinement. So we can start that early. Yash and I did this. We had a ticket out to describe the refinement process because people were confused what that was. And Yash has a PR out there that does a very nice job of starting it. Only the question was where to put it, and right now he's put it inside the page for the guidelines, and it's like, well, it doesn't really fit. So Yash and I were talking, and I think we agree that we need to put on the landing page for the contributing guide a very high level overview of sort of what the process is. that you need an issue and the issue needs to get refined and and then point from there into other things. I'm curious what other people think about that, especially I'd like if anybody that's on here who's like really new here, have you tried to look at the contributing guide and how's it working for you? My sense is that there's a lot of good information in there, but it might be hard to get started with it.
I do like the idea of having something on the main level contributing page so that you don't have to click through to find certain things.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Well, I
it'd
was
be nice
thinking
to see
that,
something
are you
there.
thinking of something detailed or, I'm thinking, I mean, just high level, so they would have to click through, but they could see that,
Yeah,
you've got a fork and clone, and then you've got to make a local branch, and you've got to do your stuff and test it, and, do a, it's a bunch of little steps that are, we do them so often, we're used to them, but it struck me, it's like, no, this would be kind of confusing if you were just starting, so.
So
I
do you,
would vote for just the kind of a table of contents, like links to all the pages, because the
Yes.
content that you just mentioned, Meg, we actually have that already, right?
Right,
It's just
right.
buried on a different page. So if people from the index page here, from this page, basically know where to get into it, I think that would be good enough.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what I think is hard to see because there's some general stuff that applies to everybody and there's some software specific and some documentation specific pieces. So okay,
Yeah.
so do we have agreement?
And we could even enhance it and have like another table of contents in the subsections here, because all those subsection index pages are also empty right now.
Right, right.
I think that would be good, maybe.
Okay. Yash, do you want it or you want me to take it or somebody else want it?
If
Since you
any new
started it,
contributor
huh? You want it?
if any new contributor like to contribute, then it's good for them too. But if
Yeah.
no, then I will be there too to help.
Okay.
we also have a comment in the chat about this, if you guys haven't seen it.
I haven't.
Reference, video reference is what is asked for.
Ah,
We do have something from Andres, probably.
Yeah.
and we have a video we'll get this to in refinement. We have a video for developing using code space. Only it needs
Yes.
to be redone.
We could point to those resources maybe also.
Right.
Yeah.
If anybody out there who's looking for new contributions has any interest in doing videos, there's some opportunities here too.
Yes. We do actually have a video. I have no idea where it is, honestly. I couldn't even tell
We have
you
the
right
one
now.
on setting up your development environment.
Oh, it's okay. It's there.
Yeah, and it's under
So
development
here.
environment, I think.
It is not. Maybe it, okay.
It was there.
Maybe because of the. Let's see if it's on the actually release page. Nope.
I'm gonna put this video in the chat. Is this the video that we're talking about
Ah,
where
you can view the video here. That's the link. It's just not embedded.
maybe it should actually be
I look for an
video.
embedded thing, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can make it an embedded so
I
it's
think that's
actually
making it visible.
I
exactly.
think that was a capability we did not have with the old tools. Oh yes. I'm sorry, I'm half asleep here. We should announce Moritz, can we announce that something just happened or is it about to happen?
What?
There's a mention about K3D in the video, according to the chat. We don't recall.
Yeah, I think there is there or kind or
I think for the contribution guide and the index sections, I will create a new ticket. and we can talk about that in the
Yeah.
next committee meeting, so that we can properly assign this stuff. Because
Great.
I just noticed that somebody already wants to take it, Rizu. I will write a ticket for it, and then we can talk about it. If that's fine with you.
Okay. The restructuring the docs up with new tools. And if it didn't just happen, it's about to happen, that the source that's under docs-new is going to be moved to docs again.
Yes. We're in the process of deleting. No, actually, that's the wrong PR. Deleting the old docs folder and replacing it with the new one, basically. Until
Right.
now, we had them side by side with the docs and the docs new folder, and now we're gonna move it over, basically, and get rid of the old documentation. But yeah,
And-
I will
and the
announce this on
guide is-
Slack again, I think, when we actually merge that, so that
Okay.
you can update your PRs.
Yes,
And I'm
and
also happy to help with any problems here.
definitely. And the guide for using the new tools is also ready to be released now, right? Or very close.
Which one? The contribution guide update?
Yes,
That's merged.
that's merged. Okay.
That is merged. So the contribution guide is up to date now. That should all be here now.
Okay, good, good.
So all this stuff here, the source file structure and everything, I updated all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll quickly write this up here. Oh, come on. Okay. And let me attach the PR to this, and then we can move on, I think. Yeah, exactly. Cool. Yeah, so we'll have this landing page. And I will add myself here. Page here for this. So that I have a reminder here. Okay. Anything else around documentation? I see there's another
I think
comment here.
I've got a bunch of stuff in refinement. I don't know how much we'll get to, but I think other issues are there. There's some other. Does anybody else have anything about documentation they want to discuss? Oh, I would add one hint for those of you who are new to the project. We would love it, as the documentation is largely being written by people who are quite familiar with the product now, which means we have, of course, omitted something that you desperately need, or something's not clear or whatever. We would love to hear from you. Do not feel like you're going to look stupid if you say, I just read your instructions for doing this and I have no idea how to do it. That's very useful information. You'll be helping the next new person. So if you see the way to correct it, please jump in and you can make that your first PR. But if you're just baffled, come to Slack and tell us what your problem is, or just Slack us and say, I didn't get it. So greatly appreciated.
Definitely. Okay. If there's nothing further, I guess we can move on to refining some tickets here.
Yes.
I already opened the backlog for refinement. So we have, okay, it's all documentation actually.
Oh, I thought you guys were going to have tons of others.
No.
Oh, well, goody.
The context propagation epic is fully refined and we don't have anything big new on the roadmap yet. So I just split one of the documentation issues into multiple ones. That's the only
Okay.
stuff from the context propagation epic that's still open for refinement.
Okay, cool.
But we have some stuff for discussion. Shall we talk about this first?
Sure. We can do any order you want to, actually.
Let's start with this one here, because this is quick, I think. Mac, do you want to take this over, or should I summarize
No,
it?
why you can do this. Who wrote
Okay.
this one? Oh, did I write this one? Okay, no.
Yep.
Yeah, how quickly they forget. No, go ahead.
So basically this was to kind of add some documentation on how to deploy a webhook sync. Because that's used in the release lifecycle management getting started guide. And I actually already wrote, we actually had some discussion here on the ticket and kind of agreed that it's not necessary to document this because it's very example specific and not really needed in any other case. So this is, yeah.
I think I grabbed it. I don't have a strong feeling. I think I grabbed it out of a discussion and said, hey, we don't have anything about that.
Yeah. So
Would
this
it even be
is,
useful to mention that they're going to need one and that it's very specific and what to do if they need to do one, or you need
it's
something very high
all in the
level?
getting started guide, basically.
Okay.
So deploy the webhook sync, how you do it, how you see that it's working, verify. So it's all there, I think.
So it's only in the getting started guide.
Yes, and that's also only where it's needed.
Okay.
So I think this should be good enough, honestly.
Okay, so close this without action.
Any other opinions, maybe? Or agreement or anything?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Close as unplanned. Goodie. Then, actually, let's also remove the needs discussion label here, so that it should be gone from here as well. Okay, this is not actually needs discussion, this docs infrastructure. Then let's just start from the top maybe here.
Okay. I can say we have a getting started with Keptn custom metrics that has the checkered history. It's not good. If you scroll down real fast, Moritz, and you will see that Adam quickly wrote up the checks that would need to be put into it. We might keep some of the pros that's in there, but that's basically it to give us a good workable getting started guide. I think it needs to be done. I think it would be very good to have this in place before KubeCon, which means I think it is something, it could be a good first issue, but it needs to be a good first issue by somebody who's going to dig in and do it quickly, or otherwise probably I need to do it. So does anybody disagree about doing it, or?
I kind of do, yeah.
Yeah, I think I know, so why don't you give your argument? You're questioning whether we need so many getting started guides, right?
Yes, we already have 3 by now.
Well, this fixes one of them, so
But this replaces the Keptn metrics one?
yes.
No. Does it?
That was the goal. The Keptn metrics one is a mess.
So you want to replace this one, not add another one.
Right.
Then I'm fine with it, I think.
And as I say, we may be able to hold on to some of the pros that's in there about what you're doing or something. I didn't go back and look at it that devil.
Because this one, okay, so that's the old page. Okay, I will update this link. So we're actually talking about replacing this one here.
Right.
So this should actually be that link then, I suppose. Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm just
But there is a general discussion, Anna, because Anna and I were talking, and Anna was sort of we need more getting started, that we need getting started with analytics and getting, you know, with this sort of stuff. So there's real questions. People seem more comfortable jumping into a getting started guide. And also, and this becomes a real resourcing one. I think people would like to have a video demo that goes along with the getting started. And those are resource intensive to create and even more so to maintain. So I'm not real sure what to do about that, but again, anybody want to chime in on comments? Other opinions?
I think it would be a good idea to replace the one that we already have, because it is more likely a guide to integrate Keptn metrics with HPA. So getting started, this one is more like how to integrate HPA with Keptn metrics, more kind of a guide. But the one that Adam has just mentioned, it looks more like how to just get started with Keptn metrics.
Yeah.
And we do actually have another use case here with detailed instructions on how
Yeah.
to integrate with HBAs. There's another comment. Oh, but that's about something else. Yeah, so I'm totally fine with updating this guide. I just don't see much. I mean, I do see value in creating new getting started guide, but isn't the whole point of a getting started page to get going quickly and not like to having to choose your use case again and then picking your right getting started guide when you maybe don't even know what the project actually does altogether?
Right. I mean, my sense is that, yeah, getting started is something you go through once. But what is people look at those over and some people seem to think that the documentation is nothing other than the getting started guide and they don't want to go beyond it. And I have, you know, I'm a snooty, you know, writer, so I think, but I think it'll be an ongoing discussion, maybe. People should keep it in the back of their minds when they see something that this really needs a getting started. But I think, I mean, a lot of the guide chapters on something kind of step you through everything you need to do for them. So
Exactly. I think we need more guides and less getting started pages.
yeah,
Yeah, so
in my heart of hearts.
the
Go ahead, Ava.
definition is foggy, but for sure what we need is to have something that showcase what we can do. So like based on a need or what's something that people usually would like to achieve. And by the way, you do it like this with Keptn. Instead of something that says, oh, Keptn has this specific thing, which is called analysis, and it works exactly like this. Because nobody will ever Google a Keptn analysis unless they heard of it because they know that they need it. But maybe not in the getting started guide.
Yeah.
Actually, we also have another guide on Keptn metrics under the guide section.
Yes. And I've
Yeah,
tried
this
to
one.
make sure that it's got everything in it that's in that there aren't things in getting started that aren't here.
So this is different from the getting started guide. That's what you're saying.
Right, but I think we have parity of content. There's significant information in getting started that is not here.
Okay.
In fact, this probably goes a lot deeper as more. Because
Which
my
is
sense
good.
is once you get started, then you're going to actually put it into real production. And the getting started guides are very simple little exercises that let you see the big picture. But then when you go to actually implement it, it's like, well, I need to do this and I need to do that. So that's my philosophy. But
Makes sense. Okay, but for this issue here, I think we agree that this is kind of needed and we need to replace the getting started guide that we currently have with what is listed in here.
And especially since Adam's already done most of the work, it seems a shame not to use it.
Okay, good. Then I will remove
Okay.
the on hold label here and the ready for refinement label as well. And put this as refine. Do you want to do an estimation for this? I feel like it's not super needed because everything is basically
Everything's
done.
there. Yeah, right. I would agree.
Okay,
We also never estimated documentation, so
true actually.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, just to make sure.
What about, do we want to make this a good first issue, or because it's critical that it be done for KubeCon, so it has to be completed in the next few weeks? Do we want to keep it to the contributors?
I don't know if I don't think it's a good first issue, but it's an issue that anybody can do for sure.
Right, just because Adam's done the content, so it would be a matter of running through it and testing it. That's what made me think it was a good first issue. You wouldn't have to completely understand it. In fact, it could be a good test for somebody who's new to see if they can follow these instructions and actually get where we say they will.
Okay,
So,
we can also do that. But let's just do it.
okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Done with this one. We talked about this one already. Does this update here? Yes. Okay. Next one.
That's yours.
This is mine. Yeah, I kind of saw an easy opportunity to fix all of our old links and have redirect, not fix, but have redirects for them. So right now we have our main page, which is the new one, and then we have v1.keptn.sh, which is for Keptn v1, and this has all the documentation, everything for the old page. But we changed this URL here, which means that any, like, let's say, blog post, any documentation, any video, any presentation that was done previously, bookmarks, those links will go nowhere now. And will probably result in this page. So my suggestion was to have kind of a redirect pattern that links all of those links here. So docs/some version/any page that redirects those to the v1 page. That would basically mean in the end that the result is that all the old links will be redirected to the v1 page and should still work in the end, which would be cool. I think that would be a good addition.
I think so too.
Any input from anybody? Okay. So I think this should be fairly straightforward to do with MKDocs material. They have some great redirect options that you can use. The easiest way, of course, would be a pattern here. If it doesn't work with a pattern, I would say it's not worth the effort because we have so many old pages. That's just not worth doing, and we'll probably screw it up.
Yeah.
So if it's possible to do with a pattern, I would do it. Otherwise, I would suggest not doing it. But yeah. Okay. Actually, I think we can. Let's leave it in 0.10 for now. Remove this.
Is this a good first issue for somebody who wants to do docs infrastructure work?
I I don't think it's a good first issue. You need pretty deep knowledge on our old docs and new docs.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I don't really think it's a good first issue. Maybe like a good second or third issue.
Okay.
Okay, and then we have 4 tickets now that were actually split off of one of the, wait, where is it? I linked it. This one here. So we had a ticket here to kind of document everything around the Keptn app context and how it will be fit into the rest of Keptn. So migration guide, update how task contexts work, all that stuff, update all the examples, all the sample files that we have, getting started guides, everything. And we actually talked about this and agreed to split it some time ago. And that's what I've did now. So I created 4 tickets out of this. So we have one for the migration guide, one to update all the examples, one to create a separate docs page with Keptn context and how you use it in tasks, and then another guide, basically, a new guide.
How about reference pages for all the new CRDs? Or the CRDs that people have to populate?
That is a good point. I think that was part of some of the other issues, actually, because it's not listed here anymore.
Was it
What
just
do you
an
remember,
oversight?
maybe?
You mean the API documentations?
More the CRD reference pages, the manually created ones.
For the resources that they have to that they have to populate with information.
Yeah, those ones here. Do you remember? Otherwise, I can create an issue for this and we'll refine it next week.
I think we might need a issue for that as well, yeah.
Okay. I'll take a note for myself. Okay. Good catch, Mark. I'll create a ticket for this. So, okay. Let's refine the tickets that I already created here. So the first one is for the migration guide, and that's actually context, not content. So we'll need a new migration guide to kind of guide people how you can move from a manually created Keptn app to a Keptn app context and basically have no information loss in between and have everything working in the end.
Where are we going to locate that? As currently the migration guide we've got is for Keptn v1 to Keptn.
Next to the other migration guides, I would say.
Okay.
So I would rename that section to migrating and then have this as a subsection here.
Okay.
Or like migration, and then you have migrating to Keptn inside and then migrating to Keptn app context next to it.
Okay.
But that's a good point. I'll add this here.
I would have one question regarding this. Does it mean moving from Keptn app to a Keptn app context automatically means using the automatic Keptn app discovery?
Yes, so
Okay, so it should be
app resources will not be created by users anymore. So those are always going to be managed by the operator automatically.
okay. So we need to explicitly say that Keptn apps will be removed, and therefore we need a proper labels or annotations to actually for the workloads to have the automatic app discovery working.
And that's probably going to mean some reworking of several other sections that previously referred to Keptn app. But we'll probably find them quickly because we'll break crossroads. Although,
The
do we
migration.
want to retain the Keptn app reference page or a release or two for historical, mark it as deprecated, not used after such and such a release?
It will still be in the system. We do not deprecate it.
It will change and it will still be there, but it will not be needed to be filled by users anymore. So I would put this here. That's exactly why we have this section.
Yes,
But maybe
But-
also big disclaimer,
We can also put a disclaimer at
beginning
the
of
top, of course.
put it up
Okay.
at the top too and stuff.
Yeah, sure.
But leave it
Okay, you
in
don't
the,
need this.
in that we're not going to have any versions beyond, we'll only have the current, we won't have any previous versions of docs available. It seems like we should keep this information available for a release or two, at least we might.
Yeah. It's not like the information is wrong.
Right.
It's still perfectly valid. Just
In
users
fact,
don't
we
need to
could-
fill it anymore themselves.
We could make the title be, say, Keptn app, parentheses, release 0.10.0 or something and earlier or something like that. And even put that in the title, so it's.
I think that's a bit over the top, but
Mm,
sure.
I like it better
Okay,
than a banner.
but for the migration guide, let's get back to this first.
Okay,
So it should be created, yeah. So next, we'll basically move around the migration guide that we have currently, and have a general migrating section, and then we can put this in there. That should be a good fit.
actually, we should make a separate ticket just to move the existing migration guide and create that section, right? That doesn't have to be.
We can also have a separate ticket for it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
And get that done and then put the,
okay, sure. Then I will remove this again here. And we'll put that in a separate ticket.
Let's
Yeah.
please mention the automatic app discovery here, so it's clear that no Keptn app versions.
What?
In the second point, move the pre-post deployment tasks and so on. The version metrics does not need to be moved, as this will be created automatically.
Yeah.
Please consider that your workloads need to be properly annotated to automatically create the Keptn app.
It's actually part of the next point. 'cause-
Really?
Yeah. Because if you did have a Keptn app before that you created manually, then you will likely need to add this annotation here, managed by Keptn. Or another potential option would be to just delete the previously created one, and then with the next deployment, Keptn will create the Keptn app automatically.
Mm.
So that's to be investigated.
because we'll
here.
have a guide about using the Keptn app context. And that will actually explain how you do things. And then the migration guide might refer to that for details, right? But
But the annotation for auto app discovery is not managed by, but part of, if I recall correctly.
yes. Yes.
So this is something a little bit different.
With the workloads or the deployments, the annotations won't need to change, because if they belong to the same Keptn app, they will have the part of or app annotation anyway already.
But only if the Keptn app was previously already created automatically. If you didn't do that,
Exactly.
Don't have it.
you potentially
You
don't
don't
have
have
the
it.
labels yet on your workloads. I think that's what Andres means.
Yes.
On the workloads, you will always have the labels already.
I mean,
Not
other deployments.
on the deployments stateful sets.
Yeah.
These workloads. you won't have if the user didn't add them manually.
Yeah, but then they're also not part of the same app, because then it wouldn't have worked.
It would. You have a Keptn app where you have all the list of the workloads.
Yeah.
Yes, but the workloads also need to have the annotation for the app they belong to. So it's kind of a two-directional dependency.
Also with the manual Keptn app?
Yeah.
I don't think. I'm not sure about this, to be honest.
I also recall that you need to have both, and that's the very same reason why we said it's pointless to require users to maintain this CRD if they also need to maintain the annotations.
Mm.
Okay, so you're telling me there's no way that they don't have the labels yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we add it automatically.
No, the user has it. Or
No,
No,
the annotations for the app, the workloads
The part of.
are part of, those have to be there. Otherwise, they will not get deployed correctly. Because in the webhook will take that annotation, create a workload where it says belongs to that app. And the workload controller will take that workload, check that property, which app am I belonging to, and will fetch the related Keptn app to see if it can proceed. Then vice versa, the Keptn app controller will check, is there a workload? Is the workload that's specified in the list of workloads, is that available? Is that reconciled? And can I go into the post-deployment phase of the app? So we needed to have this defined in both directions. And as Giovanni said, this is why we now always create the version metrics and the Keptn app automatically to only have to specify the app in the annotations of the workload and not in both counterparts.
on the workload, you mean Keptn workload, not workload as a Kubernetes resource.
Your annotations of the deployment, for example, or stateful set. There you need to set the Keptn sh/app annotation, and that's it.
Yes, that's what I was basically referring to. You need to set this annotation there.
Yeah, but it has been set in the first place. It was always there.
But
Also,
okay, let's say I'm coming into after this is all up there, I'm coming to Keptn for the first time. Then I'm going to have to set that, right? I'm going to have to apply the annotations.
Exactly. If you're creating your first application for Keptn, then of course you have to do this. But for a migration guide,
right?
This is
but
not
we don't write the migration guide. First we write the document coming to originally, right? And then we do the migration guide and reference that, right?
I would personally add a sentence that please make sure you have these annotations in your workloads so that we minimize the number of errors. And
I would rather link instead of adding a sentence.
Yeah.
Add a link towards the place where we say these are the annotations. So we centralize this info.
Yep,
exactly.
Sure. Also completely fine.
Okay, good. But I think we cleared this up now. Good. So those should be the general steps for the migration guide. The guide should be the migration guide and yes, manually test. Yeah. Good. Is anything missing for anybody? Okay. Then let's move on. Okay, so this one is the next one. Create separate documentation page for the context section and enhance it with the Keptn context info. So this is basically, we already have this page here, or this subsection, which talks about the context in the context of Keptn tasks. And this should be moved out into a separate page under the guides section, and then it should be enhanced with whatever new content we need around the new app context, because that information will be passed into the Keptn tasks in the end, right? So we should tell users about how they can use that.
What about after the context information, we go into parameterized and secrets, which currently are sort of implemented as part of context, right? Will they still be?
I would keep that information here. That doesn't have anything to do with the context per se.
Okay.
That's nothing you can pass along like the new Keptn context.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this belongs to the deployment tasks page. That's good. And then we have a separate page that we can link to with all the context information.
Okay, good.
I think that would make sense. If nobody, any objections to this? Anything to add to this ticket? Okay. Let's put this into 010. Okay. Next one. Create a guide that shows how to link traces between different Keptn app deployments. So I think this should be sorry. I think this should be a separate guide on how to use the new trace links to kind of link together your traces and have like a full stage deployment example, maybe. Yeah, so there's actually some steps here. The guide should include deploying the application, your namespace, explaining how to inspect the trace and see it in Grafana, and then retrieving your trace parent and seeing the links and stepping through those. And what's the last one of the other equation? Oh yeah, okay, and show off how the traces are linked together, basically. So this would be a full guide through of the new tracing functionality. So I think it's worth to create a new guide for this. Any other input? Flo, anything to add or something?
Let's use some images. It would be cool to show a Grafana dashboard.
And also explaining a little bit how the spec.metadata field can be used to attach attributes to the spans that are created.
So that should be, where is that? Where would that be in the steps here? With the trace parent.
The second. No, sorry. It'll be more or less around number 3.
So what should we add? Sorry, this day is pretty long already.
Add some showcase how you can attach extra metadata.
Ah, exactly. So this basically. Okay. Anything else? Okay. And then we'll maybe have time for one more ticket here. Never mind, that's the one we just did.
Can it be a coding ticket? The
This is the
270?
sure. This one?
Yeah. It's pretty straightforward. So currently, we don't see a lot of information when something goes wrong when using the Dynatrace or DQL provider. So for example, if a token is not valid, we don't see any information about the returned HTTP code when trying to authenticate. So this is about, going through the implementation of the provider, see where we can get errors, and then make sure that we pass along proper details to the error that we pass up to the analysis controller or metrics controller in order for the error message to appear in the status field. From an implementation point of view, this is pretty easy, I would say. The only thing that makes this issue a little bit more complicated is that to properly test that, you will need to have an access to a Dynatrace tenant. But for example, a contributor can do the implementation, and then the reviewer, of course, should make sure that this is working end to end. So it can be done, I think, as a good first issue, maybe. But yeah, testing will be a little bit more difficult here. But what would be nice is to also have a CUDL test, because recently we introduced quite a few tests that were using the mock server. So this is a nice way of mocking the responses of, for example, the Dynatrace API in this case.
Is there a reason we don't need to do this for Prometheus and Datadog as well? Are there?
For Prometheus, I checked there. We do get some details that help to troubleshoot. So this ticket is now specifically for the Dynatrace provider.
Right. We were going to create sections on each of the providers. I know because we need to, how you handle secrets for the different providers is different. I don't know where that issue went. Kind of forgot about it, but this is something else that would go in there then, right? And different, we may have different levels of information for different providers, but it would be, we'd have a place where if somebody wanted to do the one for Prometheus or Datadog, they could, right?
Mo, you're on mute, I think.
Sorry, I think this is only needed for the Dynatrace provider, not for the other ones.
Okay.
Because the other ones kind of have this functionality already, from what I understood.
Okay. But still, where are we going to document it? We need specific page for the Dynatrace provider to document this, right?
I think in
Um,
general, we need a special page for all providers, not just.
Exactly.
That's it. I think.
And we had a ticket for that, and I think it's disappeared. Or I'm just missing it when I look.
It's there, just not in the project, probably.
Okay.
There it is, probably.
I don't really know what you're talking about.
I'll look at it. We don't need to take everybody's time here. I'll dig it out.
Okay. Okay, then let's finish up with this ticket. Wait, this is not the right one. This one, sorry. Shall we do a quick estimation of this? Let's do it. Link is here. I will post it again into Zoom for all the maintainers.
Do we need to vote with the manual test against the Dynatrace tenant or without?
I would say with,
Okay.
because that's probably a bigger part of the whole ticket.
Perfect.
Okay. Mac, do you want what? Okay. MSS. Anna, any strong opinions, inputs?
No, I'm fine with an M.
How about you, Mac? You're muted.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with it.
Okay, perfect. Let's put this in refined, medium, progress to do. Yeah. Okay, cool. And with this, we're already slightly over time, so I think we'll cut it
Oh,
short.
can I ask, can we 2 more seconds? Just we have questions about the one pull up the one about code space. Because I think we have somebody who's interested. Yukesh is interested.
Yeah. Do you want to take it over? Or?
Yeah. And yes, and the question, I think Yukesh's question was whether this would mean reshooting the video. And I think there is. I don't know any way we can sort of edit and change a couple of things in there.
Yeah.
So that one needs to be updated. And there's actually 2 of them. This one I mean, how you use code space is pretty much solid, but I think this one goes through how you would do it for a doc contribution. And I think it would be nice if we also had the video for a software. And I'm sort of thinking I'd like to see them in one video because there'd be a certain amount of duplication if there's duplicates, if we do 2 of them. But
Yeah.
yes, Yukesh, did you want to speak more or more questions? Are you interested?
We only chatted before, so I don't know. But I would definitely also agree to just do one video and not
Okay.
two. Because
Okay.
how you use code spaces is not specific to docs or software.
Right. So we go through and probably the docs is slightly simpler and then we step through.
Okay, but let's maybe refine
Hello?
this another time because
Yeah.
we have
Yeah, I
2
want to
tickets
ask
now.
that in this issue, you have mentioned about old tools.
This you mean?
Yeah, I want to
Ah,
understand more about that.
the documentation tools, we just switched documentation tools.
Yes.
So the old one, and I don't think much changes, but the name of the command that you would run to preview the documentation. That's the code space one that's up there is very good for docs, except that it's using the wrong command for that. Which being a video probably means we need to completely reshoot it. And then we need to augment that video then with stepping through a small software contribution.
Yeah, so in the video, we don't have to show about the contributing to documentation. We have to show about some code, right?
Right.
I think both would be good.
Yeah, we
So
want both.
using code spaces to do software and documentation contributions to have one video combined.
Okay, thank you.
And the code spaces part's done the same, but it's basically the verification that's done differently, I think, for documentation and testing and software.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, if you're interested, we can talk about it more on Slack too. Since
Yeah,
you were
sure.
asking questions, I wanted to get to it. Okay,
Yeah.
and now I made us late, so I'll shut
So I will combine those two tickets because one is for
Okay.
software and one is for docs, and we agreed to do one video. So I will combine the two tickets into one.
Okay, do you want to do it or you want me to?
I will do it.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Then
Apologies.
this brings us to the end
Sorry,
of.
guys. I have a question. Sorry, I'm taking everyone back. It's regarding the Dynatrace providers. So it was mentioned that some other informations can be provided if possible. So I wanted to know what information can be provided.
About the error. Because we have an HTTP connection and we don't return what's the HTTP result. So we consider mainly the API path where everything works fine. But if you're using a wrong token, the API will tell you HTTP 403. So we should provide a log line saying, hey, we got an HTTP status 403. Does this
Okay.
answer your question?
Yes, yeah, I get that. But okay, yeah, I understand. Thank you.
No problem. And if you start working on that and you find that you have more questions, just feel free to ping me over Slack.
All right.
Okay. Any last minute things?
For the contribution guide, I wanted to add that some points regarding the prerequisites would also be added. Like I recently started contributing to the Keptn repo, and I faced issues with setting up the prerequisites time. So some points regarding that could also be added to the contribution guide.
Points about what exactly? Sorry, I didn't understand that.
Prerequisite, like we need to set up some things in our device before starting contributing to the Keptn life cycle totally. So some information regarding those can also be added to the getting started or contribution guide before.
Yeah, sure.
You need, so for setting up to work on documentation, you said, or for software?
For software contribution.
Maybe just put it into an issue and submit it on GitHub, and then we can see if we add it there.
And look what's
That's fine
there,
with you.
because I think you have basic instructions. I mean, the basic setup is going to be to fork and clone the repo.
Yeah. And basic
then
instructions on how to set up your system are here. But if you're missing anything, that should be added, please. Yeah. Just create an issue and let's do it.
Sure.
Yeah, that
Cool.
would be great.
Okay. With this, I think we can close the meeting now.
Yeah, thanks for that, by the way.
Thanks everybody for joining.
Yes, and for the discussions.
See you again next week. At the other time slot, so the earlier one.
But that'll be the user. That'll be Flow's user one. We won't do refinement next week, right?
The user group will be a separate meeting. That's
It's a separate meeting at a separate time.
That's Monday, I
similar
guess.
time as this one, just I think a half an hour earlier.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay.
Okay, so we'll still have normal community meeting next week as well.
Everything as normal.
Good.
Okay, good.
Okay, then see you next week, everybody. And enjoy your days.
Thanks all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Take care, guys. Bye.